Good Woch, it is Saturday night, February 10th. You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm.
A winter storm with the name Angela by social meteorologists will be developing over the middle part of the country for the beginning of this week. This storm will be bringing heavy snow into Missouri, southern portions of Illinois, southern portions of Indiana, into Ohio, then off to the East Coast, into areas north of New York City, into Boston, Massachusetts. It is not clear exactly which areas will be getting hit with the heaviest snow right now, but this is expected to become into a nor'easter, a strong storm system off the coast of New England by Tuesday morning. This storm system will be starting off with a barometric pressure of 29.6, intensifying to 29.4 as it moves into southern Illinois, and then 29.0 and even 28.9 as it pulls off the Atlantic coast. What's totally phenomenal about this storm is the lack of cold air behind the system. This is something which has been a consistent theme this winter. We've been getting these winter storms of snow without the cold air, really. That happened in Chicago. We had two of them. Well, one of them did get cold air on the backside, but one of them used something called dynamic cooling and evaporative cooling. This storm will be relying upon dynamic cooling. In fact, it's very fascinating. Looking at the European computer model, you'll see the storm system moving across the middle parts of the country with snow, but rain around the snow. What that means is that there's snow in portions of southeast Missouri, but north of there, the precipitation's falling as rain, and south of there, of course, it's falling as rain as well. Where exactly the snow goes is not clear. It could be will be hitting portions of east central Missouri and to southeast Missouri, somewhere around there. The question is, why would there be rain north of the snow? Meaning the rain-snow line is going to be both north and south of a particular city in Missouri. The snow will be stuck in between. That's very unusual. Usually the rain-snow line is just to the south there's rain, to the north there's snow. And here again we have to the south there's rain, to the north of the line there's snow, and then to the north of the snow it's back to rain. And the reason for that is something called dynamic cooling. Dynamic cooling is when the precipitation rates become heavy enough, it brings cold air aloft down to the surface. How cold does it get? So the Washington Post explains about 3 degrees. The temperatures will drop about 3 degrees during heavier precipitation rates. And this is why you'll have snow and then rain to the north, because the lack of cold air, temperatures will be in the mid-30s. But when the precipitation rates become heavy, those mid-30s drop into the low 30s. So areas to the north will have lighter precipitation rates. Temperatures will be remaining in the mid-30s, but areas south of there will have temperatures dropping into the low 30s. That's why we're going to be getting snow over southern areas, rain to the north. The St. Louis area, we have solar installations also going to be a factor this time of the year. The National Weather Service of St. Louis tells us that could limit the evaporative cooling. Now, evaporative cooling is when the rain evaporates or the precipitation evaporates, the temperatures drop. In this case, we'll have snow. When it evaporates, that temperature drops, that's going to maintain the 32 degrees. That's where we're going to have the snow. But due to strong solar insolation, the strength of the sun this time of the year, the higher sun angle, that evaporative cooling is going to be less. Therefore, the timing of the snow is essential over here. And at this point, it looks like Cincinnati, Ohio, due to the timing of the storm system. The storm system bringing its heaviest precipitation through Cincinnati Monday night. Cincinnati has a good chance at seeing accumulating snow of at least probably 1 to 3 inches, maybe more for Cincinnati. That's due to the timing of the storm system. That's going to be essential over here. And then as the storm moves off to the East Coast, snowfall amounts intensify to about 6 to 12 inches. The Boston, Massachusetts National Weather Service tells us about the heavy, wet nature of this snow due to, again, the temperatures being slightly above freezing. And this is especially true for the lower elevations. There's a risk of power outages. Accumulations are expected to be higher during higher elevations. Areas which are higher up will have higher snowfall amounts, but the lower elevations have a higher risk of power outages due to the wetter nature of the snow, which happens when temperatures are at 32 or slightly above 32 during the storm. The winds are not expected to be such a problem, at least for the Boston area or New England area, but nonetheless, we could see winds gusting to 20 to 30 miles per hour, some areas even 40 miles per hour, but coastal flooding could be a major issue over the New England area. In fact, the coastal the tides have already been about 2 to 3 feet above normal, and this is going to just intensify as this storm moves off to the east coast. Looks like the precipitation will be missing the Chicago area. We have something else which is kind of extraordinary right now. It's, you have the warm air which is taking place ahead of the storm. Temperatures in the low to mid 60s for the Washington, D.C. and Baltimore area were solid yesterday and today. Yesterday's sunshine over Washington, D.C. brought those temperatures up to 63 degrees. But today, temperatures hit 64 degrees without the sunshine, so it becomes clear that it was the south flow, the south wind that was bringing in all that warmth, but the sun also was a variable as well. Now, for the next 2 weeks, we have more of a winter weather pattern starting to take place, but it's a little bit unique because it's not really, initially at least, we don't really see that solid cold air coming in from the northern portions of Canada. It's more of a northwest flow, and we could get a little bit of a low pressure system bringing precipitation to the Midwest later on this week, Wednesday night into Thursday, possibly bringing some snow, accumulating snow into the Chicago area. But the chances for accumulating snow are much higher when you go into the Wisconsin area than here in Chicago. Nonetheless, precipitation is possible here in the Chicago area later on this week, Wednesday night, perhaps into Thursday, something like that. And then we go into next weekend, and that's when things really start to change. Bitterly cold Arctic air comes spilling out of Canada as a ridge builds up into Alaska. The jet stream goes all the way north into Alaska and then makes its dip down here in the central U.S., bringing temperatures down to 0 degrees by February 19th, says the European computer model for the suburbs of Chicago. Buffalo Grove expecting a temperature of 1 degree the morning of February 19th. That's going to be Monday morning, a week from Monday morning. 1 degree, says the European computer model for Buffalo Grove, Illinois. That's a northern suburb of the Chicago area. There will be a storm system which will be associated with that bitterly cold Arctic front moving through the Midwest. Also, around that time, bringing several inches of snow into the Chicago area. Models currently indicate 6 inches of snow for Chicago, but these types of storms that move across the Midwest generally produce a 6 to 12-inch area in the bullseye. This is a storm system that will have copious amounts of Gulf moisture along with Arctic air. This storm system, the beginning of next week, about 10 days out, 9 days out, that will have all 3 ingredients which are essential for a winter storm. We will have the Arctic air, the strong low pressure, and the copious amounts of Gulf moisture. The cold air, which has been lacking this winter, will exist in that storm system. And the question with that is always the track. So you have 6 to 12 inches in the bullseye. And the chances of Chicago being in the bullseye is, we tend not to be in the bullseye. So a lot of times we end up in the 3 to 6 inch area here in the Chicago region with 6 to 12 inches to our north. That's a very common scenario. But we'll have to wait and see as we get closer. That will determine, we'll have a much clearer idea on what's going to be happening. In the meantime, we have severe weather, which will likely be taking place tomorrow, Monday. That's in response, that's associated with the storm system, the strong storm system moving across the south central states into the Tennessee Valley, into the off the mid-Atlantic coast. That storm system has unseasonably warm air to the southeast part of the system, bringing severe weather to the Florida, New Orleans, Louisiana, included in this into Tallahassee, Florida, portions of Georgia over the next couple of days until that colder air moves in. The air again is not that cold. We saw thunderstorms. Speaking of severe weather, we saw thunderstorms with large hail in the Chicago region Thursday night, as we kind of spoke about the previous episode. We spoke about the possibility of thunderstorms with severe weather possibly making it into Memphis, but not this far north. But there was some areas. Large hail does make the storm into a severe category. So that's something that will be happening over the next couple of days, a severe weather risk for portions of Louisiana into the Georgia area before that cooler air moves in. Those people who love winter weather could look forward to, if not this week, next week. Although this week has been a topic of under discussion for the winter weather enthusiasts, but the real cold weather comes in for next week. That's when the solid Arctic air makes its arrival for the first time in weeks. It's the first time since January. Basically, there's been a month gap at that point, a month gap without any Arctic air here in the Midwest. But again, European computer model shows Monday morning next week, a week from Monday, temperatures dropping into the single digits across the Chicago area. I wish everybody a wonderful week. Enjoy the really warm weather for those places getting it. We'll still have above normal temperatures really everywhere throughout this entire week. Solid above normal temperatures, even for the places which are getting a lot of snow. For the St. Louis area, temperatures going back up into the 50s and even 60s later on in the week. The temperatures, if there is snow in the St. Louis area, there could be a solid snow over there of 4 inches, maybe more. That could produce a little bit of a damper in temperatures for a day or so, but then temperatures either way likely going into the 60s later on this week. Current forecasts call for highs about 57 in the St. Louis area, but that likely will go up. I wish everybody again a wonderful week, and thank you for listening.